The moon didn't fall all at once. It screamed first. Every fragment of it burned with the echo of a promise that was never meant to be kept. When the shattered moon split open, the sky over Arvin 9 bled silver. Debris streaked through the clouds like dying stars, and in their glow, the two armies who once called themselves allies stared at each other across the scarred plains, waiting for the first shot. Somewhere beneath that fractured light stood Commander Rian Vale, his armor cracked, his pulse thundering with the same rhythm as the collapsing heavens. He had loved her, an alien emissary born of moonlight and shadow, and now he was ordered to destroy everything she had ever sworn to protect. The pact had been forged in desperation, not trust. A decade ago, the human colonies of Arvin 9 had stood on the brink of annihilation, their cities dying beneath the planet's endless storms. Then came the Elyndra, beings of light and crystalline bone who descended from the moon above, offering salvation in exchange for one thing: silence about what slept inside their fractured satellite. No mining, no exploration, no questions. In return, they brought technology that healed the planet's atmosphere and kept its people alive. But humans never honored silence well. Rian still remembered the day he first met Sel'ara, the Elyndran envoy. She'd stood before the human High Council in robes woven from threads of lunar dust, her voice like music trapped in glass. "The moon is not dead," she had warned. "It remembers everything buried within it. Promise us you will not wake it." Rian, still a young lieutenant then, hadn't understood what she meant, but when she turned to him, her eyes reflected the whole galaxy. He'd known even then that this was a promise humanity would break. And they did. 5 years later. The Eclipse War began the moment humans uncovered a chamber beneath the moon's surface, older than either race could comprehend. They found relics there, machines that hummed with impossible power, and in their greed they tried to claim them. The Elyndra retaliated. What began as a single forbidden excavation turned into a planetary civil war. Now, as the shattered remains of that sacred moon rained across Arvin 9, the final betrayal unfolded. Rian's earpiece hissed with the voice of his superior. "Commander, confirm the payload delivery. The moon's fragments are destabilizing. Orders are to eliminate any surviving Elyndra outposts before they regroup." He didn't answer. His gaze was fixed on the horizon, where the Elyndran capital, once a city of light suspended above the plains, was burning in silence. He could feel her there. Sel'ara, the woman who had taught him that stars could bleed. They had met in secret, years before the war turned cruel. On the moon's surface, hidden in its shadowed valleys, she had shown him the ruins her kind had sworn to protect. Vast halls carved into lunar stone, filled with statues that pulsed with faint bioluminescence. "These are not gods," she had told him. "They are memories. When the first Elyndra came from the stars, we left our hearts here, so the universe would never forget what we lost." He had touched one of those statues once. It pulsed beneath his fingertips, warm, alive, and whispering in a language he could not understand. That night, beneath the silver glow of the moon, he'd promised her something impossible. "If war ever comes, I'll protect this place. I'll protect you." Now, standing beneath a broken sky, he was the one ordered to erase it. The human fleet hovered in low orbit, their engines burning like dying suns. 1,000 cannons locked onto the surface ruins below. One command from Rian, and centuries of Elyndran history would be vaporized. He closed his eyes. Sel'ara's last message echoed through his comms, recorded hours before the final bombardment began. "Do you know why the moon weeps, Rian? Because it remembers every oath ever broken." He couldn't fire, but the order came anyway. A roar ripped across the battlefield. The human bombardment began without him. Energy beams lanced through the clouds, striking the Elyndran ruins with blinding light.
The ground convulsed, the air screamed, and for a moment time seemed to collapse into itself. From the heart of the devastation a sound arose, not mechanical, not natural, but ancient, the kind of sound that carried memory. The moon answered back. Every shattered fragment in the sky began to glow, each piece humming in resonance with the ruins below. The light spread through the atmosphere like veins of living fire. Rian fell to his knees, his armor searing hot, as the moon's core, the heart of whatever slept within, awakened. Across the comms, panic erupted. Unknown energy signature, it's rewriting gravitational fields. Rian, what the hell is happening? He didn't reply, because deep inside the chorus of light, he heard her voice again, not through radio, but through the very air. You broke the pact, Rian, but maybe you can still keep your promise. He saw her then, Sel'ara, walking through the storm, her luminous form flickering between shadow and flame. Around her, the fragments of the moon orbited like a halo. Her eyes, once filled with calm wisdom, now glowed with sorrow and fury combined. She was not alive, not in any way he understood. The moon had claimed her, fused her essence into its awakening consciousness. The Elyndra had always said their souls were born of starlight. Now he understood they had meant it literally. Sel'ara, he whispered. You shouldn't have come, she said softly, her voice trembling the air. You shouldn't have loved me. I was never meant to belong to your world. I didn't come to destroy you. I came to stop them. But even as he spoke, more human ships descended through the burning clouds, the air filled with streaks of fire and thunder. The world was ending, and between them stood the remnants of everything they had tried to protect. Sel'ara lifted her hand, and the ground itself responded. Massive shards of lunar crystal rose like blades around her, deflecting the bombardment. Go, Rian, the pact is broken. The moon remembers. It will cleanse everything. Human, Elyndra, all of us. He reached for her, desperate. There has to be a way to stop it, she smiled. The same sad smile she had once given him beneath the unbroken moon. There is, but it means keeping your promise. Lightning split the horizon. The moon's fragments began to spiral inward, forming a vortex of light above the planet. The gravity pull intensified. Ships, debris, and even pieces of the upper atmosphere were being drawn upward. Rian's instrument screamed in alarm. Keep your promise, he understood then. The energy awakening from the moon wasn't just destruction, it was memory. The Elyndra had designed the moon as a living archive, one that could rewrite existence itself if its seals were broken. It was preparing to erase everything tied to the betrayal. Rian had one chance, to stabilize it, and that meant doing what she couldn't. He turned toward his shuttle, sealing his helmet, his decision heavy as the collapsing heavens. Sel'ara, he said softly, if this is the only way to keep the memory of what we were, I'll do it. She nodded, her form fading like mist. Then maybe, Rian Vale, when the stars remember us, they'll forgive what we destroyed. As he launched toward the rising vortex, his ship trembling under the strain, the last thing he saw was her silhouette dissolving into the light, her essence merging with the moon's core. The shattered moon pulsed once, like a dying heart, and then the world vanished in white.
When Rian opened his eyes, he wasn't sure if he was alive, or if the universe had rewritten itself around his guilt. Silence. That was the first thing he noticed. Not the roar of engines or the thunder of war, but a silence so vast it pressed against his lungs. His visor was cracked, his ship gone, his body suspended in what looked like an ocean made of light. Shards of the shattered moon drifted around him like frozen tears, their edges glowing faintly, as if remembering what they once were. He tried to move, but the air wasn't air. It was memory. Every motion sent ripples through time itself. And then he heard it, her voice. You kept your promise, Rian Vale. He turned sharply. Sel'ara stood before him, or rather, the idea of her did. Her form shimmered in and out of existence, woven from starlight and fractured reflections. She looked both near and impossibly far, as though she existed in several versions of reality at once. "Where are we?" he whispered. His breath echoed back as light. "In between," she said softly. "The moon remembered us. When it broke, it didn't die. It became a bridge between what was lost and what still might be." He stared at her, unable to breathe. "You're not alive?" She smiled sadly. "Not as you knew me. The moon holds consciousness in its fragments. Every Elyndra ever bound to its core is here. Every promise, every betrayal, every song our kind ever sang to the stars." His hands trembled. Around them images flickered, scenes of the old world. The shining Elyndran cities before the war, human ships descending with banners of alliance. The first shared sunrise after the pact was made, but the images were cracked, looping, bleeding into one another like broken film. He reached for her. His fingers passed through her form like mist. "Sel'ara, I tried to stop them. I didn't want this." Her eyes softened. "I know, you never did. That's why the moon spared you." "Spared me?" "Everyone else was rewritten. The humans who broke the pact, the Elyndra who defended it. The moon's consciousness folded them into its new reality, where their memories could never hurt again." He felt cold despite the light. "You mean they're gone?" "Gone," she whispered, "but not forgotten. The moon doesn't destroy, it remembers. You are the last true witness, the last living proof that love once defied war." Her voice trembled on that last word, and Rian felt the ache in his chest deepen. "Why me?" "Because you were part of both worlds, because you loved me enough to end it." The silence that followed wasn't empty, it pulsed with ancient resonance. The very light around them seemed to breathe. In the distance, the largest shard of the moon rotated slowly, its inner core glowing like a heartbeat. He felt it calling him. Sel'ara followed his gaze. "That is where my essence is bound now. The moon is trying to stabilize itself through me, but it's fading. The memories are unraveling. Soon even this place will collapse into nothing." He turned back to her. "Then let me help." She shook her head. "You can't. You're still flesh, still bound by the laws of the world that was." "Then unbind me," he said fiercely. "You said the moon remembers. If it can rewrite reality, it can make me part of it." Her expression faltered. "You don't understand what you're asking. To stay here, you would have to let go of everything. Your body, your past, your entire existence as human." He took a step closer. "If it means staying with you, then there's nothing to let go of." The light around them dimmed. The moon fragments began to rotate faster, as if the very fabric of this place responded to his resolve. Sel'ara's luminous form flickered with pain and longing. "Rian, if you stay, you'll become part of the archive, a memory among billions. You won't be you anymore." He smiled faintly. "Then let me be a memory that remembers you." Her voice broke, fragile and bright. "You were never meant to be here." He closed the space between them, his hand hovering just before her heart, if she even had one now. "Maybe I was always meant to be here. Maybe this was what the pact truly was, not a promise between races, but between us." The shards of the moon began to hum. The air turned into streams of silver dust swirling around them. Sel'ara looked up, her eyes wide with realization. "The moon is listening to you. It's rewriting the pattern." He felt it too, a pull deep within, not of gravity, but of purpose. The fragments of reality around him began to merge, drawing him toward the moon's core. Sel'ara's voice trembled. "If you go to it, you won't return." He nodded. "Then I'll meet you there." Light burst across the horizon. The shards aligned, forming a vast sphere of energy that pulsed like a living star. The force was immense. His body began to dissolve into light, his atoms unraveling into data, into song, into memory. Through it all, he kept his eyes on her. "Rian!" she cried out, reaching toward him. For the first time, her touch met his. Their hands met in the space between worlds, the contact sending a cascade of light through both of them. In that moment, he saw everything: her memories, her people's long sorrow, the wars that shaped galaxies, the ancient creation of the moon as a vessel of remembrance. He saw how every Elyndra was born from it, how their lives were meant to end by returning to it, and now, by joining her, he would become part of that eternal cycle. "Do you still love me?" she whispered. "Across every broken sky," he said. Her tears were made of light. "Then remember me, not as the one who ended your world, but as the one who saved it." He smiled through the pain of transformation. "We'll remember each other. That's the only world we ever needed." And then he was gone. His body became light. His consciousness pulled into the moon's heart, where Sel'ara's essence waited, their two souls intertwined within the crystalline lattice, merging like two notes of the same song. The moon's fragments began to coalesce, forming once again into a single, luminous sphere hanging in the void. From the outside it seemed reborn, whole, calm, serene. But those who gazed upon it from distant worlds said it now glowed with a faint pulse, like a heartbeat. They called it the Lover's Moon, a remnant of a forgotten war, whispering across the stars. Inside that moon, in an ocean of eternal light, two voices remained, bound forever between memory and creation. "Do you hear that?" she asked. "What?" "The universe remembering us." 1,000 years after the war that shattered the sky, the moon above Arvan 9 was whole again. Its surface gleamed with soft silver light, and though it appeared calm to the naked eye, those who listened carefully, really listened, claimed they could hear a sound beneath the silence, a faint hum, a heartbeat, a memory. They called it the Lover's Moon, and no one remembered why. The world below had changed beyond recognition. The cities of man were dust beneath jungles of crystal growths that shimmered faintly at night. The old machines had rusted into relics, and the Elyndra, the luminous race once born from Starlight, had become myth, whispered in stories told around bioluminescent fires. But the moon remained, watching, waiting, remembering. It was during the year of the 7th eclipse that the astronomer Cain Lyrae, a scholar of lost skies, made the discovery that would awaken the legend again. Her observatory sat atop the remains of a forgotten citadel, built from human alloy fused with Elyndran crystal. For years she had mapped the moon's surface, charting its strange energy pulses, but tonight the readings defied science. Every 27 minutes, the moon pulsed, not randomly, but rhythmically, like language, like song. She recorded it, amplified it, and listened, and in the static between frequencies, she heard voices. Two of them, one human, deep and steady as gravity, one alien, light and melodic as air. "Do you hear that?" "What?" "The universe remembering us." Cain froze. The recording wasn't interference, it was dialogue, old, ancient, older than any record she'd ever heard. In the following days, the entire scientific colony turned its gaze upward. Probes and satellites captured faint holographic impressions flickering across the moon's surface, shapes of two figures intertwined in light, dissolving and reforming again and again. "Could it be data?" one researcher asked. "Or consciousness?" Cain whispered. "A memory caught between matter and eternity." The discovery divided the world. The Lyrae phenomenon, they called it. Some believed it to be an echo from before the collapse, remnants of an ancient AI. Others claimed it was divine, that the moon was alive, guarding the souls of those who had once defied the void itself. But Cain felt something deeper. Each time she listened to the pulse, she felt emotion, sorrow, longing, love, not random noise, not mere history, a heartbeat that missed someone, and so she began her descent into the ruins, into the old lunar tunnels humanity had sealed a millennium ago. The air was thin, metallic, alive. Every step she took echoed through ages. Strange symbols pulsed faintly on the walls. Elyndran script merged with human lettering. It read like a dialogue, two civilizations trying to speak across silence. At the core of the ruins, Cain found what she hadn't dared hope still existed. A crystalline chamber, half organic, half engineered. Its center held a structure shaped like a heart, suspended in luminous fluid. The rhythm she had tracked from orbit came from here, and then the chamber spoke. "Are you there?" a voice whispered through the air. Cain stumbled backward. Who's speaking?" The reply came as light rippling across the chamber walls, forming the vague outlines of a man and a woman, woven from memory and glow. "We are what remains of the pact. We are the promise and the betrayal both." Her breath caught. "You're alive?" "We are not alive," the man's voice said. "We are what the moon remembers." Cain's heart thundered. "You're Rian Vale and Sel'ara." The light around her shimmered, acknowledgement, grief, and warmth all at once. "Once," Sel'ara's voice said. "Now we are memory made whole. The pact was never meant to end in destruction. It was meant to preserve what love could not." Cain sank to her knees. "You saved the world, didn't you?" "We tried, but the world forgot." The moon kept remembering. Outside, lightning flashed across the planet's atmosphere. Cain looked up through the chamber's translucent roof, seeing the pulse ripple across the sky like an answer. "Why reveal yourselves now?" she whispered. "Because the silence is ending. The moon's song is spreading. Soon, every world that once knew war will remember what we were and what we lost." The air shimmered, and for a moment Cain saw visions, two armies across a silver sky, a moon shattering in sorrow, and two lovers dissolving into light. "Is this your punishment?" she asked softly. "No, our choice. We gave ourselves to the memory so that those who came after would feel what we felt, so that love, once broken by war, might become the seed of peace." Cain's eyes filled with tears. "Then you're not trapped. You're guiding us." "Guiding is too strong a word. We are a reminder. The universe forgets easily, but love, true love, always leaves gravity behind." Outside, the pulse intensified. Across the galaxy, observatories began reporting the same pattern. The lover's moon had started to transmit its light farther than ever before. It touched the distant colonies, the lost Elyndran remnants, even worlds that had never known either race. And those who dreamed beneath its glow dreamed of two figures standing hand in hand beneath a sky of silver fire. In those dreams, they spoke a single phrase: "Keep your promises." The legend spread like wildfire. The old tales of the shattered moon pact were reborn. Children recited them as prayers, soldiers carved them onto their armor before battle, and lovers whispered them beneath starlit nights. The moon had become a teacher, its light carrying emotion, not just energy, and somewhere within that endless hum, Cain sometimes heard their voices still, whispering through the data streams like ghosts too kind to fade. "Do you still love me?" Across every broken sky. Years later, when Cain grew old and the world changed once more, she returned to that same lunar chamber. She sat beside the heart-shaped core, closed her eyes, and listened. For a moment, she thought she heard her own heartbeat align with theirs, three rhythms in perfect harmony. "The moon remembers you too. Then let it remember us all." The light swelled, enveloping her in warmth. When the other explorers found the chamber days later, they discovered her notebook open beside the core. Its final line read, "The lover's moon still sings. It doesn't mourn the past. It waits for those brave enough to remember." And so the legend lived on. Every night, when the moon rose over Arvin 9, its glow carried a faint shimmer,
a rhythm like breath, like memory, like two souls speaking softly to one another in the language of eternity. We were born in war, the stars seemed to whisper, but we became peace. And in that endless peace, woven through light, silence, and the memory of love, the shattered moon pact was finally whole.